Secrecy, government silence, lies. They all have consequences, and we're living through them. Sometimes they are tragic, and they are deadly. Over the holidays, the news broke of a Cybertruck explosion in front of the Trump Hotel in Vegas, and it sparked fears of terrorism. We looked for information, any information at all, in the wake of the tragic act. As usual, we didn't get much. We knew he was a Green Beret, heavily decorated, but there was nothing official as to what his motive was until the Sean Ryan podcast. A retired Army intelligence officer was contacted by the suspect. A manifesto was sent, and that information was released on Sean's podcast. It ended up forcing law enforcement's hand, and the entire country was able to read and draw their own conclusions. This never happens, and I commend Sean for forcing transparency. All the details around this case will probably never be known, and I'm not going to speculate on all of the different theories. But I do want to highlight what the suspect said was his motivation. This is a screenshot of the original email and manifesto. He was concerned about two national security issues. One, drones utilizing gravitic propulsion. He said he had knowledge of another event in Afghanistan that was also troubling. Can I see him having knowledge of the Afghanistan event? Yes, but drones with gravitic propulsion? I mean, I'm not going to speculate whether he actually had knowledge of those things or not. Either he did or he didn't, and he was a heavily decorated combat veteran, but he was also disturbed by PTSD and or traumatic brain injury. But he was clearly someone who had dedicated his life to national security and that of his country. And he was bothered by the lack of transparency on two big issues that he felt the government wasn't disclosing. And there's a lot of issues. So let's take one. What's going on with all these drones? Legitimate enough topic. Even Donald Trump said he'd make the disclosure of what's really happening one of his top priorities.
You thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey? There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me.
One day into the administration, that's next Tuesday, he said, I'm going to disclose what's happening with these mysterious drone sightings. Then, as he turned, he went on to call out multiple governors who all agreed that they've had sightings near nuclear reactors or over nuclear reactors, military bases, and infrastructure. Joe Biden stated that there was nothing nefarious going on with any of these drones, like the ones spotted over New Jersey. And this tracks with the usual government narrative lately on unidentified aerial phenomena. Yes, they're there, but don't worry about it, all's good. Well, if we don't know what they are, how do we know that everything is okay? Now, I'm guessing spaceships didn't come down with the little green and red light on each side. But before we broke for Christmas, drone sightings in New Jersey and elsewhere had risen to over 5,000. Now, out of all of those sightings, around 100 were deemed credible, at least credible enough to warrant more investigation. That's per a statement from the FBI, Homeland Security, the FAA, and the Department of Defense. So wait. It's all good, but we don't know what or where 100 flying objects in the sky came from. I don't know. That kind of worries me. I mean, I'm not a Green Beret, that has dedicated my life to the defense of the country. But the lack of full disclosure from my government on this issue is a little terrifying, just a little bit. I'm hoping that they're all ours. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. What is the government hiding from us? Why are they hiding it? Clearly something's going on. These things exist. We're not talking about some random dude taking blurry pictures out in a wheat field. We're talking about pilots, U.S. Navy pilots, encountering them while flying over our airspace. Check this out from Scott Bray. He's the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. During testimony in front of Congress, here's what he said.
There have been no collisions between any U.S. assets and one of these UAPs, correct?
We haven't had a collision. We've had at least 11 near misses, though.
Wait, what? I mean, that sounds like a problem. These things exist. We don't know what they are. And, our planes, our military pilots, they've almost collided with them at least 11 times. Are these things foreign? Are they ours? And if they're above, the classified areas of the country, isn't that a problem? Is everything classified above everybody's head? Where are they from? Whatever the answer, we just all know we're not being told the entire truth. And in 5 days, the fundamental transformation of America is supposed to begin. And in 5 days, that means we have to have accountability and some answers. Gravitic propulsion and alternative technology has been hidden from the American public since the turn of the 20th century. A book written by a doctorate in both systems science and physics claimed the government had been working on gravitic propulsion using research from people like Nikola Tesla and Thomas Brown. Now, you can go to the FBI vault and view the seized research papers that the FBI took after Tesla died. But there's one small problem. Out of the 80 trunks of Tesla's research found and seized, only 60 were ever turned over and declassified. What's in the other 20 trunks? And just a little side note, Tesla's research was given to the head of research at MIT to look over. This is the correspondence, a letter that was from him, and it was included in the declassified document disclosure from the FBI. I just want you to take a gander at the name. John G. Trump, the uncle of the 45th and 47th president of the United States. The other man credited for gravitic propulsion was Thomas Brown. His work was actually talked about in this article in The Guardian over 20 years ago. By the early 1950s, Brown had created platforms that could supposedly hover and rotate. And we know that published research references gravitic technology and that companies like Honda and government organizations like NASA and the Army Research Lab were working on it. We've also found documentation that we're still trying to verify that the U.S. Navy was also working on it. So why do I bring all of this up? Well, clearly, the government has been interested in the kind of technology that it's being described with some of these drones and UAPs. But it's been over 50 years since Project Blue Book had any attempt by Congress to get any kind of transparency on it. The mystery just went silent until a few years ago. Take a look at just some of the official sources that are addressing these unidentified objects in the sky. Here's former CIA director, gotta love him, John Brennan.
I think some of the phenomena we might be seeing continues to be unexplained and might in fact be some type of phenomenon that is the result of something that we don't yet understand and that could involve some type of activity that some might say constitutes a different form of life.
Okay, what is it you know that we don't know? It goes on. Former Air Force intelligence officer who was the Inspector General, he said, this is credible. He claimed the U.S. government had recovered UFOs and that they had crashed and that we had alien bodies. Credible source. An official congressional law now includes reporting mechanisms for the recovery of unidentified anomalous phenomena, including the reverse engineering of such a craft or competent technology. And now, for the first time ever, you can find procedures for unidentified phenomena in the actual National Defense Authorization Act. This is official United States law right now. The government is seemingly all over this, but I don't know what's real and what's not, do you? You cannot run a country like this. There's even an official report and analysis from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence where the UAP craft is described as having unusual movement patterns or flight characteristics and without discernible means of propulsion. Maybe you mean like gravitic propulsion? One of the real heroes in today's world is Michael Schellenberger. He recently testified in front of Congress after receiving a whistleblower report on a secret government program called the Immaculate Constellation. Schellenberger released the full report on X, and it is wild. It describes a government initiative to watch UAPs, identify the technology that had been reproduced from the craft, and also conceal the information from as many people as possible. Forget Project Blue Book from the 1950s. What's happening right now is earth-shattering. But the question remains, why is the government hiding this information from us? Is that what's in the air of New Jersey? Is this technology from an other world? Is it from China? Is it ours? And we're safeguarding state secrets? Why? I think we're giving people to question our government even more.